Today I'm going to show you how you can farm Exalted Orbs and Divine Orbs using Delirium. So you've probably come across these before. Delirium is one of the end game mechanics here in Path of Exile 2. Any of the map nodes you see with this icon on it will have a Delirium mirror in it. And when you run through the mirror, it will start the Delirium encounter. Upon completing said encounter, you are dropped some distilled emotions. These come in a whole different variety of emotions. However, we're just going to use the basic ones for this method. If you hover over here, it says can be combined with other distilled emotions to instill amulets with notable passive skills or waystones with layers of delirium. Just quickly before we get into the layers of delirium, you can actually come in here, and if you press Alt on one of these notable skills, you can see it says emotions, isolation, fear, isolation. What we can actually do is use these emotions to instill our character's amulet with one of those notables, and we don't have to path over to it in the skill tree. So that is awesome, but that is not the point of the video today. The video today, we're going to do some delirium maps, and that is how we're going to farm. So I'll show you how this works. Just firstly, I'll just quickly go over here. I'll just quickly go over to Alva for a second, though. I just want to show you in here, you can actually have a look. If you go into Delirium, you can have a look. There are, what, 10 different distilled emotions here. They rank from most common up to least common. So distilled isolation, if we have a look, these are really, really expensive. So this is more of an end game, like a late end game type thing for your amulets, but to get started with farming the maps using Delirium, we only really need some of the lower tier stuff. In fact, I would recommend picking up a few greeds. You don't need that many. You can literally start with 3 if you want, which will cost you roughly 4 exalts to get started. Now, you might have those sitting in your inventory or your stash already, and if you do, that is fantastic. So what do we do? Let's come down here, and if we right click on one of these emotions, it will open up the instilling window here. So what do we want to do? We want to instill our waystones with layers of delirium. So what we want to do for this farm is try and do this on waystones that have increased quantity and rarity. Specifically, rarity is the most important, but quantity is nice as well. If you have a look, this is a tier 15 with 31% increased rarity. Now, the rarity can be higher than 31%, but we're working with what we're working with right now. So if we have a look, we put one of these in, plays a 10% delirious, increased rarity of items found. If we put 2, it doubles, and then it triples the value. So we can add 30% delirious and 24% rarity using this method. However, we don't have to triple down, so to speak. Hold on, let me just remove one of these for now. We don't have to triple down. You can, in fact, add different ones on here to get a multitude of different things. We've got pack size over here, so the different emotions will have different effects, right? For our farm today, though, we are just going to use greed. We're gonna get greedy and go for rarity, because you know what? Rarity is awesome. So this is gonna add 30% delirious to the map, and I'll get into that in a second. And it's also gonna add an additional 24% rarity. Now, as you see, the map is now kind of smoky looking, and we got the extra delirious on there, 30%, and we have the rarity. Now, if you have a look down here, we don't see any like red text or anything. What am I even talking about? Let's just do this again. Oh, okay, yep. Waystone has no more room for delirium modifiers. So you want to double check that no more will fit on, because some of these you can actually stack even more on top. But for now, we're satisfied with our map. We have extra rarity on the map, 31%. We get an extra 24% from the delirium we got, and we are 30% delirious. Now, it's also worth noting the higher tier versions of these will give you more percentage delirium on your waystone. We only got 30% delirious here, right? As I said, the higher tier ones will give you more higher percentage. This will increase your drop chance for these splinters to drop. And if you're unfamiliar, Doing this above tier 11, you will start to see splinters dropping. So let's go in here. These things, the simulacrum splinters. Now, if you collect 300 of these, you can turn it into a simulacrum, which can open a portal to the realm gate. Now, that is the end game sort of thing you can do here. However, we can just use these and sell them on the market. Basically a 2-to-1 ratio for exalted orbs. We can farm these splinters pretty effectively here in these Delirium maps. So this is one way we can get additional exalts. So if you find at least 5 or 6 of these in your map, you will be making a profit, assuming you spent any exalts on the grid to begin with. If you have a bunch of them lying in your inventory to begin with, then this is just pure profit. Now, if you have been playing the higher tier maps, you probably already have a section like this where you have multiple towers together and you have a bunch of nodes that have been either irradiated already. This one I've also added some bosses to. As you can see, 2 of these naturally rolled with mirrors already, which is pretty cool. But what we can do is come in here and let's talk about these precursor tablets for a second. You really want to add at least one in here that has item rarity. So this one is irradiated. We already have irradiated this area. If we have a look, oh, whoops. If we have a look, some of these areas are already irradiated and they already have increased rarity and quantity on them, which is awesome. You can see I've already influenced most of the towers here. However, this one here is still uninfluenced. So what we can do is put one of these precursor tablets in here. Now, I think what you want to do is take at least one with the rarity for your area. If you can then add a delirium mirror as well, you can, if you've got 2 towers next to each other, you want to put one delirium mirror and one irradiation, and at least one of them should have rarity of items found on here. This is really, really going to boost things up for us. Now, we are already irradiated around here. I'm going to actually put this one in. And that has put in a whole bunch of mirrors on here for us. So now, all of these are going to be delirium encounters. But not only that, if we run our delirious waystone, we're going to get even more value out of it. So now if we have a look at some of these maps, we get 15% increase quantity from bosses. We get 21% rarity from bosses. We also get 19% rarity from items found in the area. Plus we get all the extra XP and all the rare monsters and all that stuff. So if we come in here and now we add this one onto it as well, we are now adding 24% rarity plus an extra 31% rarity on top of that. And then, of course, there is the rarity that I have on my gear, which I don't have that much on my gear, to be honest. It's around 80 to 90 on my gear items here. It's nothing that special. So you don't need the highest rarity ever, but somewhere at least around 80 to 100 is nice and will boost up your currency gain quite a bit. You don't have to go totally overboard to really make this happen. So I'll jump into the map and I'll show you what it's about. All right, let us traverse this map and I'll show you what the Delirium encounters are about. So when you add Delirium to your Waystone itself, it will make the entire map delirious. Now, not every single enemy in here will be counted as delirious enemy. As you can see, there is the cloud type stuff in here everywhere already. So we don't actually have to run through the mirrors to even get, and see we get T15 drop straight away here, which is pretty cool. Now, you will also find the mirror in here because that's the way we have set up our maps on the screen, and we're getting 15s drop straight away here already, which is kind of good. Okay, now we also have a chance to get the bosses spawning. We got one of the bosses here on our first map. So we also see these splinters can drop from these enemies in here. So we need to find the boss here. Let's not let him kill me. There we go. We slaughtered him very quickly there. So if your build is capable of clearing tier 15s, the bosses in here shouldn't be too bad. As you can see, these bosses drop at least 4 of these splinters most of the time. I don't think I've ever seen them drop less than 4. Kill all these enemies, pick up my exalts, get out of here. More splinters up here. It'd be very lucrative in here. Now, this has been the highest drop rate of divines that I've personally found thus far. And it is much more chill than doing the breaches and that sort of stuff as well. It's relatively chill. It's as difficult as the waystone that you put in, basically. The boss is relatively easy. You saw we kind of melted through him pretty damn quickly. Let's just go to the boss in here now, and we'll see if he can drop us anything good. Okay, let's see which boss this is. Ah, it's the, this guy, huh? Ran out of mana. We almost had him down. All right, there we go. We got some uniques. We got some 15s. We got a bunch of exalt. All right, guys, as you can see, we amassed over 70 splinters, which is going to give us roughly 35 exalts worth of value. Now, I did slam a few exalts into the waystones as we are going, but we did get at least 5 or 6 per map. We got a bunch of chaos orbs, a whole lot of vials. We got a ton of uniques. We got a bunch of tier 5 rares as well, and we also got a bunch of distilled guilt and all this stuff as well. So it's a pretty effective farm. Now, just remember, guys, to increase the amount of divines that you're getting doing this, you need more rarity. So you want to take rarity from the precursor tablets, rarity on your waystones where you can get it. You want to put as much rarity on your gear here as well. I don't have as much as I could have on here. I only have about 80. You can get it way higher than that. If you stack all of that on top of each other, you can get a ton of extra currency out of this farming method. Now, rolling the waystones to get a high amount of rarity on them is a totally RNG. So, you know, your mileage may vary there, but all right, guys, so there is the farming method. Now, I think it is easier than doing breaches and some of the other endgame activities in here at the moment. And it is very lucrative. You can just sort of add it on to your normal farming. You don't have to really go crazy with this. You can just sort of add it on, add the extra rarity and stuff onto your normal waystones as you go if you want to. If you want to really, really target divines, you need to stack up as much rarity on your waystones and your maps through the precursor tablets, as well as the delirium and your gear. So you stack all 4 of those on top of each other. That's when you're going to start seeing the higher tier currencies drop for you. There you go, guys. If you enjoyed that one, consider hitting like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Hope you all have a fantastic, amazing day. Take it easy.